How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Talking PlayStation. My name is Jacket, and I'm here with Iron,
Hello?
and we're doing this again. We're giving it.
Again. Oh my god.
We're
And
giving it.
I didn't even know about it.
No, no. So last year, at the end of last year, I think it was, I did. How many episodes of the Lunacast did I do? Did I do one or two? I can't remember. I think I did two, didn't I?
I think you did too, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't mind talking as much as I used to. Like, I used to really hate hearing my own voice and hate talking about things and didn't really like podcasting in general. But then I kind of enjoyed doing that. And I thought I'd like to just talk about PlayStation again. And I thought we could do it and we wouldn't have to do it every week. We could maybe do it once a month or, maybe do it like once a fortnight if there was more to talk about. Like towards the end of this year, there's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be a lot more PlayStation stuff to talk about, so we'll have a lot more to talk about then. But I thought it'd be good to do this and just talk about PlayStation again, just me and you,
I'm fine with that.
and we'll chat away, give our opinions that probably we shouldn't actually have opinions on anything, but we'll give them anyway.
Oh yeah, no, because we are totally the experts and
Absolute experts. Although to be fair, I think out of most of the people we know, I think we've both been like into PlayStation for a long time at least. Did you have a PlayStation 1? I can't remember if you did.
Yeah, I got a PlayStation 1 when I was like 6 or 7.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
My parents went out and bought me the original one cuz I used to love playing like the Super Nintendo that we had, and they were like, "Hey, let's get him another system and that." And then they got me that, and I started playing it. And I started playing it a lot more, and they're like, "Oh, this is just a phase. It's just a little gaming phase. He'll be fine. He'll grow out of it, you know." And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. I had my sister had a Master System, which was like the console before a Mega Drive, and then I had a Mega Drive, and then I got a PlayStation when we moved house. Like my dad gave me a PlayStation as like a present when we moved.
Okay.
But that was definitely when I started paying more attention to games. I
Yeah.
started playing on PlayStation, like Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid. They were games that were much bigger than games I played on a Mega Drive. Like I was used to games that were like Sonic length. You could complete them in like 3 or 4 hours, and then you get games like Final Fantasy VII, which I've
That's
never even played an RPG that's hundreds of hours if you want it to be.
oh yeah. Like
So
it's. I mean, remember my first when I got my PlayStation, I got um. So like getting the PlayStation, it was kind of almost a deal too because my dad ended up getting to play like Madden because he wanted to play football.
yeah,
So he got
yeah.
Madden, and I ended up getting like Micro Machines, and then
All right, yeah.
later on I got Tomb Raider, which actually got taken away from me. Um, cause
Why? Because it was too violent, or because
yeah,
of the
no, it
tits?
was too violent.
All right.
My
Okay.
mom was like, no, 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 no. But then it's funnier because like a couple years later, after we had moved and we moved to Sylvania and everything, I ended up getting like GTA 2, and we had no idea what this game was. And even the guy was like, "Are you sure you want to buy this for your kid?" And my mom's like, "Yeah, what's wrong with it?" And the guy's like, "Okay, whatever."
Well, I remember before I had a PlayStation, my friend had a PlayStation, and I went to his house and he showed me GTA, and I was like mind blown by this game. Like, I couldn't believe this game existed. Like I'd never seen anything like GTA when he showed it to me, and he showed me like a racing game as well. It was like the first time I'd seen like 3D games and stuff, and
Okay.
it was crazy. But
Yeah.
you mentioned Tomb Raider there,
Yeah.
and because I've been playing Resident Evil 2, the remake,
Okay.
on PlayStation 4 recently, and I was thinking there's some games or some series that for me personally, maybe not for everybody, but feel like they are PlayStation series.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I think Tomb Raider is one of those series. Even though Tomb Raider did come out on the Sega Saturn, I
Hmm.
think first maybe, but like Tomb Raider is a series that I think is like a PlayStation series.
Yeah.
I think Resident Evil again came out on the Sega Saturn, but I always think about that as being like a PlayStation
Yeah.
series.
No, I won't disagree
Even
with that one.
even Final Fantasy. Now, obviously, if you grew up with an NES or a Super Nintendo, Final Fantasy is probably a Nintendo series for you. That's probably where you would think about it the most, or you would probably link it in your brain.
Right.
But for me, like with Final Fantasy VII, that was such a big game, and that was like the first RPG. Even like Final Fantasy games, I feel like they're like a PlayStation series, even though they're really not, and not anymore, because like Resident Evil's on every console now, pretty much, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, I think Resident Evil's
that's
just on. Yeah, it's on everything now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's on Xbox as well. But
Yeah.
but Final Fantasy VII, the remake,
Mm-hmm.
that's exclusive to PlayStation, I believe.
I think it's a timed exclusive for a year.
Yeah, like a timed exclusive.
Yeah, I think it's a
So
1 year.
so with that, you've never played Final Fantasy VII, right?
I've never played a Final Fantasy game.
You never played a Final Fantasy game.
Nope,
That's
not
crazy.
one. Well, the
So
problem is like in elementary school when I was going to play actually Final Fantasy VII. It was going to be my
yeah,
first one, and my friend was going to give it to me and everything to play it. And out of nowhere, one of my other friends just like spoiled the whole story, and I'm like, I don't want to play it anymore.
yeah, I can see that. So with the remake, because I don't want to say it's less of an RPG, but obviously you've seen the gameplay for the remake, right?
Yes.
So it's like I don't know how you describe it. Not like hack and slash, but obviously it's not like a classic turn-based.
Yeah, it's not like the
RPG.
classic Final Fantasy, because I did watch my friends play it a few times.
Yeah.
And yeah, the new game does not play like those. At least
No.
not.
Side note.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, quick side note: watching people play like an old-fashioned RPG is really not that exciting.
No, it wasn't.
Watching somebody else play a turn-based RPG is probably one of the most fucking boring things you could do.
It was so boring, and I was like, "This is ridiculous." I was like, "I don't like sitting here watching him play." It's like it was one of those things like, "Oh, you'll have a turn," and I'm like, "Okay," and then like 4 hours later, like, "Is it my turn yet?"
Yeah, like, I like the games, and I wouldn't enjoy that.
No.
But so would you play the remake then? Do you think you'd be interested in playing it?
I'd almost be willing to give it a try. One, for the fact that the game library for the coming, at least for me, for the start of the year is not entirely there. Like there's not a ton of games coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I think it's something I'd be willing to try. I don't know if I'd probably buy it on sale. I don't know if I'd buy full price.
I think it'd be an interesting game. Like, I'd watch you stream it, but I'd be interested to see what you think about it, because like, you know, the characters and stuff. Like, I think the characters have like transcended the game now, right?
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows who Cloud and Sephiroth is.
Yep.
Whether you've played Final Fantasy VII or not, everyone knows who they are. So, but
yeah.
it would be interesting to play it, because they like, obviously you've never played it, so, but it looks like, from what we've seen so far, they're making some pretty big changes to that game. They're adding a lot of stuff in the initial area in Midgar. In the original, it's not a short area in the game, but it's not as big and as fleshed out as they're obviously making it.
Right, but it's
in the remake.
Yeah, because they're splitting this into what, 3 games?
Yes,
so,
I think so far, yeah, it's still 3.
Yeah, so and from what I've understood, and I think you guys have talked about it, if they're gonna section this off properly, then the first part of the game where it would be sectioned off needs to be extended to make it actually worth a full price.
So essentially, the time you spend in Midgar is not that long. I mean, it's pretty reasonable. I'm trying to think, like, a time, maybe like 4 or 5 hours you would spend in Midgar, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. But it's not like a huge part of the game at all. And then the thing about Final Fantasy VII is, when you look at it, especially when you look at these new trailers, it's kind of this like steampunk world that you're like looking at. And then when you leave Midgar, it changes into more of a, I wouldn't say high fantasy, but it's a lot more dragons and goblins and, you know, forests and all that kind of junk is happening. It's kind of really strange how it changes like that when you're like playing the game. But I'm like really looking forward to it. I really want to play it. I wasn't super hyped for it when it was first announced, because I thought I didn't like the idea of them splitting it up. But now they're kind of adding things in. I'm definitely more into it, and the closer it gets, I'm definitely getting more and more like excited to play it. I just hope it's good. I mean, I really do hope they've not spoiled it. You know.
Yeah, I know they were supposed to put out a demo. What the hell happened?
There were people talking about a demo, and then it was leaked, because I watched on YouTube, like, people doing like the first, essentially not a mission, but the first part of the game where you like blow a reactor up. So it's definitely been out there, but I don't know when it's coming. I'm not sure if there's been I've not seen a release date on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I think I found something.
maybe
Just really quick, I found something.
okay,
This is an updated article from WCCF Tech.
okay,
The original story was that a rumored Final Fantasy VII remake demo will be released alongside the main game on March 3rd. If GameSpot is to be believed, it was updated on the 10th, so actually yesterday. And it says, since publishing our original story, GameSpot has updated its article, stating the demo release on March 3rd was an incorrect assumption, stating this piece originally stated a Final Fantasy VII Remake demo would launch alongside the game. That was an incorrect assumption on our part, and we regret the error. So, no demo right now.
No, and it must have got out somehow because people were obviously playing it. So that's interesting.
Somebody probably leaked something out.
Yeah, you brought up something interesting though about like in the first part of this year, there's not a lot. I mean, apart from Final Fantasy VII, there is Cyberpunk that's coming out in the first part of the year, and then obviously the big game is Last of Us 2. I think that's the game that everyone's like waiting for,
and that's
the most.
Yeah, so the list for just PlayStation games, for January, you have Yakuza, which we all know Andy's going to be into.
Yeah, Andy from Discord, I love that.
Yep. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I mean, it's a multi-platform, but I mean, people are looking forward to that. There's a couple, small games. February, Yakuza 5. That's another Andy one. Dreams gets its official launch on the 14th.
Oh yeah, Dreams. Yeah.
Darksiders Genesis, Street Fighter 5, Persona 5 Scramble.
There's not a lot that would appeal to me, I don't think. On that
list. And then March 3rd you get the remake, and then on the 13th you get Neo 2.
Oh yeah, Neo 2's coming out. Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people looking forward to that. A lot of people like the first one.
Yep. The 20th, we will get Doom 64 and Doom Eternal.
Oh yeah.
And then on the 31st you get Persona 5 Royal, and that's it for like the first quarter until April, when you get Resident Evil 3, Cyberpunk, that Predator Hunting Grounds. Yeah. And then not till May where you get Avengers and Last of Us Part 2. That's it.
Yeah. There's not a lot there. I mean, obviously, like I said, everyone's waiting for The Last of Us Part 2. Well, I say everyone who's a big fan of the original game, which I think is a lot of people. I think a lot of people really did like that game.
It won the PlayStation Blog's Game of the Decade.
Yeah, I saw that. And from what gameplay they've shown of The Last of Us 2 so far, I mean, it looks great. I mean, I like how they're teasing the story. Everything looks great with that game.
We still don't know what's up with Joel. I mean, we know he's supposedly alive.
Well, he's alive because he's seen in the video clip. Yeah, he's seen the video clip. Assuming that's not like a, she's seeing things situation, which I suppose is always like a possibility.
Yeah, because you got to remember she is infected, so it could start screwing with her mind.
Yeah, I don't think they can mess that game up.
No,
I think the people who are involved in that game, like if you look at because I recently replayed the Uncharted games, and the difference in how well the story is told in 4 compared to 3 and 2, it's pretty stark. And then you realize that Neil Druckmann had a big hand in the story.
Correct.
Of 4.
Yeah, because Amy left.
Amy left, and the story is much better in 4. It's a much more grounded story, and it's much more impactful. I really like it.
It's a much darker story as well.
Yeah, it feels real. Uncharted 4 feels a lot more realistic than maybe the first 3 games do.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, out of the 4 main games, excuse me, that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I've completely changed my opinion. I used to really like 3. I used to really like 1. And then I really like Lost Legacy, and I still do really like Lost Legacy. But I've definitely now, I feel like Uncharted 4 is my favorite, and I think probably Lost Legacy is my second favorite.
Yeah.
So I think those guys can't mess this game up. Like, they'd have to really go out of their way to sabotage themselves, I feel like, and mess this game up.
I mean, I have so much faith. I have faith in the game so much that I bought that like $150 $70 edition or whatever.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you bought that. You bought the really expensive one.
Not the most
I mean,
expensive,
maybe
but I bought that's second most.
one of the most expensive ones. Yeah, I mean, the story could end up being like really unsatisfying. I suppose that's a possibility, but I feel like they probably won't make another one. I feel like this is probably going to be it, right? They're going to make two, and then that's it. Depending on what happens in this one, I guess. But
Yeah, it really depends on how it's going to end.
but then again, again, when I was playing Uncharted, I kept thinking to myself, they'll definitely make another Uncharted game. Like 4 was too good, I think, not to make another like.
I think I think it'll be a while before they make another one after 4. I mean, it's been a while as it is, but I don't think they're gonna make one till maybe towards the middle to end of the next generation. They're gonna give it time.
They're probably working on something now with the teams being split, kind of like they did with Uncharted 3 and the original Last of Us. But
oh yeah, they have to.
I imagine it must be all hands on deck to get The Last of Us Part 2 finished.
I mean, they delayed it till from March. What was it? Originally February, and then they delayed it till May. So May 29th. And then honestly, I think if for some reason they delayed it again, it's only going to be a couple weeks, just to put a polish.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, if they do delay it, I really don't mind, because I feel like you'd rather have the game be the best it can be than push it out. Like if you look at Fallen Order, which was almost certainly pushed out so it could tie in with the release of what's the last Star Wars?
Rise of Skywalker.
So it's definitely been pushed out. It's buggy as shit, and you know that if they'd have been given maybe another couple of months with that game, they could have really polished it up and made it run a lot smoother.
Yeah,
and it would have been a better experience.
Yeah, like I've had some issues with it, not a ton, but it does still have its few hiccups in that. And yeah, if they would have waited, then it would have been fine. But they, and that's not an EA thing. I'm pinning that one on Disney.
I bet
Disney was like, this game has to be done before this date. Like it has to be out before the movie's out. You don't have a choice. You get it out, and you get it out now, because it was the hype up to Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, you know that game is going to sell better when there's all this hype around Star Wars. I mean, even though the sort of the critical opinion of the latest Star Wars film wasn't spectacular, there was still a huge amount of hype. There was still a lot of going on. So it makes sense to make sure it's out at that time. I think. I don't think that's a problem. I think if a game needs more time, give it more time. And I think if the guys at Naughty Dog need more time to make the game, as good as it can possibly be, then I'm completely fine with that, 100%.
Yes, because of almost all the studios, Naughty Dog is. I mean, there's a few that always would probably deserve any kind of slack when it comes to delays in that, but of all of them, Naughty Dog, you give it to them. Like when they say we need more time, it's like you got it. Like
I'm sure Naughty Dog can like get blank checks. I'm pretty sure they're given whatever leeway they want, because they're a hit factory. They don't make bad games. They haven't made a bad game in such a long
Yeah, I
mean, they've ever made it in like a long time since they've made anything that would be considered.
I'm a little curious what they're.
They made some games on the Mega Drive. They made the Crash Bandicoot games, and they moved on to the Uncharted games. I don't really think anything in between there was considered.
So they've been around since '85.
Yeah.
Math Jam, Ski Crazed, Dream Zone, Keith the Thief, Rings of Power, Okay, so then from Crash Bandicoot in '96.
Yeah.
You then have Crash 2, Crash 3, CTR, and then they went on to the Jak series.
Oh, of course, Jak and Daxter. Yeah, of course, that's what they've done.
And 2. So they did Jak 1, 2, and 3, plus a precursor Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy, then Jak 2, Jak 3, Combat Racing.
Oh yeah, I remember Jak X. I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. And then they did all the Uncharted games, Last of Us. And that's what they've done. They've done that. So since Crash Bandicoot originally launched, they have not made a bad game, because Crash left Naughty Dog after CTR. Like, it was no longer theirs to work on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think, you can probably say for the last 10 years they've done nothing but make games that are like big AAA games that do good numbers.
Yeah,
so,
like hit after hit after hit. Like, it is... I'm perfectly okay saying Naughty Dog is the premier developer on the planet right now.
I would 100% agree with that. I think the only other people you could say would become close to that would be Rockstar.
Yes.
But Rockstar don't put out the games. I mean, Rockstar have put out, 4 games in probably the same period that Naughty Dog's put out, maybe 6 or 7.
I think so, yeah, because you got GTA 4. GTA 4 came out on PS3.
Yeah, and you got Red Dead, GTA 5, and then Red Dead 2, yeah.
Yeah, so 4 games since GTA 4, which was their first release, I think, on PS3. I think, no.
I suppose...
Well, maybe that developed a specific one.
I could say, you could put an asterisk on that and say they did release Max Payne 3, which I believe was a Remedy game, though, and they did release LA Noire, which I also think was just published by Rockstar. I don't think it was developed by Rockstar. I could be wrong on those two, though. I could be wrong.
Since PS3, PlayStation 2, PS3, you had GTA 4 on in 2008. Because you got to remember, Rockstar split into, different
Rockstar North, basically.
Yeah, you got Rockstar. So Rockstar North is like the big one.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, you had, like, all it is it's then showing, like, GTA San Andreas. Like, no, that doesn't count. That's a remake. So you have GTA 4, it's DLCs the next year, Max Payne, Red Dead, the DLC, LA Noire, Max Payne, GTA 5, GTA Online, more GTA 5, more GTA Online, more GTA... Because they keep re-releasing it.
5, yeah.
And then Red Dead. Yep, and then Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
So outside of remakes, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, I would say they're the only two you could really, like, put in comparison to each other. So
yeah.
But I'm going to be interested to see what happens. So just to switch this up and just to talk about the PlayStation 5 at the end of the year, I am interested in what is going to be a release title for that, because the more I think about it, the more I'm sure that Guerrilla are going to have like a release game.
Yes.
They did on PlayStation 4. I would not be at all surprised if the next Horizon game is a launch title for PlayStation 5. In fact, I would say that's probably, in my opinion, that's a good bet.
Yes, because I fully believe that Horizon will be shown off as a showcase game when they show the PS5 in February. Because I am fully committed to the fact they will show this console and details, maybe not pricing in that, but they're going to give, like they did with the PS4, they're going to give their details and everything at the end of February. It's going to be like in the 21st or something like that. That's when they're going to do it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I fully believe that Horizon will be shown along with a couple remakes and then some other, like, they're going to show some demos in that. I definitely don't think you will see a Spider-Man 2. It's too early for that. Because I'm trying to go through my head like the developers in that. So
here's what I would, if I was like fantasy booking this, what I would like them to do would be to have something like Horizon, like a sequel to Horizon as like a launch game, and then you'll have all the other stuff, like you'll have the Call of Duties, and there'll be an Assassin's Creed on there or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Care about. But what I would like them to do is imagine if they took Uncharted 4, God of War, Spider-Man, even the original Horizon, and said there's going to be patches for these games that will let you play. Maybe not 4K. Yeah, maybe not 4K 60, but 4K 60 would be great. But something like that would be great. Like, okay, they're not new games, but you could definitely make an argument that it would be worth going back and replaying Spider-Man to play it in true 4K.
Oh yeah,
at 60 frames per second. Do you know what I mean? Like, or Uncharted 4 or God of War. All these games.
And do it without my PlayStation burning a hole through my desk.
Yeah, that would be nice if they could make the fucking thing a little bit quieter while we're at it, you know.
Yeah, but no, if
So
they did that, I mean, that not only is that a reason to go back and play it, but it gives a huge reason for anybody that doesn't have a PlayStation yet to just be like, I'm getting a PS5 so I can play these.
yeah, you're going to play the best versions of those games. And just to talk about quickly what I was thinking, I've been playing like Resident Evil 2, like I said, the remake. And that's a game that on Pro plays at, I think it's just 1080p 60 on the Pro. But it plays so nicely. Like, it really does like play really well. At no point during that game am I thinking to myself, man, this game looks bad. I'm enjoying playing it.
Right.
So I really don't think we need games to look tremendously better, as in like the actual effects, you know, the textures and stuff in games. But if you did take these games and you bump that resolution up and you bump that frame rate up, and that's all you did, they would transform those games. It would make the games look considerably better. It would make them play a lot better. Like,
yeah.
Spider-Man's a great example of that. Spider-Man at 4K 60 would be a dream to play. That would
Oh god,
so
especially
nice
the traversal and everything, it would just be so smooth.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope they do something like that. I mean, it's a bit of a fantasy thing, but
Oh well, yeah.
I hope they do something like that. But I feel like if you were going to make a bet on what's going to be a launch title, Guerrilla put out a Killzone game on the PlayStation 4, which wasn't that bad.
No, Shadowfall was perfectly fine. It wasn't by any means like groundbreaking, but it was perfectly fine. I would love to see Killzone return, but I don't see it happening right now with Horizon around the corner. Like, everybody knows they're working on Horizon. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Horizon. I did replay it again recently because I've been replaying a lot of games, and I did like it more when I replayed it than the first time I played it, but I'm still not the biggest fan, but I'm in the minority there. A lot of people do really like that game.
Yeah, so I loved the game, and I actually need to finish the fucking Frozen Wilds part. I never played it.
Yeah. I can 100% see that being a huge deal. If that was a launch game, and with Xbox coming out basically saying we're not going to have any first party games at launch, wow, I mean, that would be a huge deal.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, aside from their Play Everywhere that they do, which, I mean, yeah, I get it, they have exclusives on that, but they're not launching any.
No. Well, I mean, you can say we're PlayStation fanboys or whatever, but facts are facts. If you look at the big three console manufacturers, the big difference between Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft is exclusives, because Microsoft exclusives, Xbox exclusives, even the good ones, even the ones that people rave about, like Gears 5, people think that game's great. No one cares. It wasn't even nominated for Game Awards, which I know the Game Awards don't mean anything, but it wasn't even brought up.
Yeah.
Like, people do not care, unless you're like a diehard Xbox fan, about Xbox exclusives. People do care about Sony exclusives, and they do care about Nintendo exclusives, and that's really, that's like the biggest selling point for like PlayStation. So if they launch a console with a big AAA exclusive, and it was good, I mean, let's assume it's not a terrible game as well. Let's assume it's a good game. I mean, that's, you can't really get a better launch than that, in my opinion.
No,
launching it with a game like that.
Because you got to think, this year, it should be a year where you see, a new Assassin's Creed, because they said they were, spreading these out. So you'll most likely get a new Assassin's Creed game that will launch. We will probably get Horizon that will launch. I'm sure that, like Last of Us Part 2 will have, you'll be able to buy it on there.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that. You'll have any of the new sport titles, that come out that time of year. It's one of those things to where it will, in my opinion, not being a fanboy, it's going to have a better launch than Xbox, because you also have to look at Xbox as well. The Series X, they've even said, like, it's not the only one. They're going to make multiple, and it's like, and it's like PlayStation, as of right now, it seems like they're going to make one console. Like, they're not going to fragment this. And I understand where, like, Microsoft is trying to do it. They're trying to make it, most likely they're making a very premier console that's probably going to cost $500-$600. And it's going to, will it probably run better than the PlayStation 5? Most likely, just because they're still going to lose money on it, because they don't make money on consoles anymore. They're going to lose money, but they can also charge that higher premium for it because of what's in it. I think PS5 will launch for $400 in the US.
I think so too. Yeah.
And because that seems to have been a sweet spot.
Yeah.
It sold well at that price, and then when it dropped down, I mean, the Pro launch at 400?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've stuck at 400. And if
Yeah.
you look, like, we obviously CES just happened, and if you look at the things where they talked about a few PlayStation 5 things, they unveiled the logo, which is just the same logo as they've
It's
been
the same.
using.
I loved the jokes about it, going like,
Yeah.
even Mike Drucker was like, they spent thousands and hours and emails and all this just going through all of this, going like, yeah, we got to make sure we get this logo right and everything, blah blah blah. Like, they did.
I'm so glad though it's just PlayStation 5. Like, just
Yes.
keep it simple. Keep it as PlayStation 5. You don't need to like do anything crazy.
And the
But if you look at
branding,
what
the branding's on
the
point.
branding-
I love it.
Yeah, it's the same branding. Yeah, I like it a lot. But if you look at what they talked about at CES, they talked about 3D audio. They talked about having haptics, adaptive triggers, high-speed SSD, hardware-based ray tracing, which is interesting, and having an Ultra HD Blu-ray drive. Now, obviously, some of those things, the Blu-ray drive, I'm pretty sure 3D audio is already on an Xbox. I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think both of those are already on there.
Yeah, I think so.
But they seem to be going down this route of almost taking the PlayStation 4 and beefing it up some more, or taking the PlayStation 4 Pro and adding these things in and making it a little bit more, a little bit beefier, which I think is a really good route to go down, because I think we're at the point now where you could make games the best looking they're going to be, but we're getting towards like diminishing returns soon. It's getting to the point where we make them look better and better. They aren't playing any better. Like, performance this generation has not been great. Performance in the PlayStation 3 era was not great. At some point, we've got to sit back and say, let's just fucking make these games run well. They already look amazing. Let's just make them just make them play as smooth as possible. That to me is the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's like the technology is there for 4K and 60 frames, and that's what people want. And it's like you have 4K TVs going into living rooms every day, and yet you have consoles that are sitting out there that can't continually hit 4K at its best frame rate. It's like, put the time and effort and development into making the console able to produce at the point it is, because I mean, yeah, I know 8K is coming up, and like I know, like, monitors can run at like 144 hertz, and then they showed off like 360 hertz. It's like, just don't worry about that right now. That's long on the horizon. It's going to take time to implement those kind of things. Like, 4K is here now. You should be able to hit 4K no issue and make the game run smooth.
Yeah, I think that's like the big thing that they should be focusing on. I think Xbox should focus on it as well.
Yes.
But I think the problem always is that you can't sell a frame rate in a trailer. That's always the problem. You can put a trailer out and make the game look amazing. But I do think that's what I hope that the PlayStation 5 focuses on. And I think it'll do just fine.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are talking about maybe it being less powerful. I think I would obviously prefer it was as powerful as it can possibly be for the right price.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, the games are what's important, and it would take a lot for me to want to switch to a different ecosystem now, because especially with backwards compatibility, I have all my games on PlayStation 4 now.
Yeah.
The exclusives, I know they're going to be good exclusives. Even if the games were tremendously better, it would need a huge there would need to be huge performance increases on Xbox for me to think about switching at this point. I just don't think I would ever think about doing it.
Because from what I've seen, somebody, I can't remember the article I read, but somebody did an interview, and they were asked a question about, Microsoft's studio acquisitions. Do you think they're going to do this? Do you think they'll eventually have like a Naughty Dog? And the guy's like, yeah, I'm sure they can probably have like these really great studios, but you have to understand, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take like years for them to build these working relationships and build this, things. Like, you can't just, they're at least doing it right, where they're buying a studio that has a history, and they're not breaking it apart in that. They're not building it from the ground up and everything. Like, they're buying a studio that has its core together. So that's a step in the right direction. But yeah, like PlayStation, in my mind and for me, I have been with PlayStation since the beginning, basically, and I cannot fathom changing that on a console setup. I mean, I have my
No.
PC. I can play any Microsoft game. At this point, I can play any Microsoft game I want to play on this machine, and I'm okay with that. If I miss out on a couple, so be it. I clearly don't care enough. Like, I
Yeah.
buy the PlayStation for the games. Like, it would take Microsoft buying Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Is
Something like
basically
that
it.
extreme. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's
No,
what it would take.
I completely agree. I don't like, I don't like the way the Xbox feels. I don't like the controller that much. I don't like the UI on Xbox. It's fine. It's not
Yeah.
terrible. I can use it, but I don't like it as much as PlayStation's. So
Yeah.
I can't see me ever changing. One thing I just thought of that I actually wanted to talk about as well was, what do you think about the little LED screen on the controller that's apparently coming? Because that makes me nervous. Because all I can think of, that's going to just destroy the battery life on that controller.
Oh,
having,
you
like,
mean
an
that little LED
screen.
on the back?
No, on the front. They're going to put one where the touch bar is. Have you not seen this?
No. Did I miss that one?
Yeah, so basically what's being suggested is where you've got your touchpad, that would be an LED screen on the PlayStation 4, on the PlayStation 5 controller, essentially.
Shock 5.
And I'm
Whoa, okay.
yeah, so, I mean, common sense would say to you that they're going to really beef up the battery to compensate for this. And obviously I don't think the screen's going to be on all the time.
Yeah.
But in terms of things I don't think they need, I don't think it needs an LED screen, but clearly it looks like it's going to have one.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so here we go. So this is from the 6th. So this was, about 5 days ago.
yeah.
This is over. I just picked the article. Oh, this is on the 6th axis.
Okay, yeah.
So it says, according to tipster Tidux, who has leaked other gaming news ahead of an official reveal, the DualShock does not have any back buttons. The touchpad, which was rumored to be replaced with a touch screen, also remains, similar to the one found on the DualShock 4. Here are the key points. The overall girth is a big change, and it makes it feel premium. The touchpad got an overhaul and feels more exact. The light bar at the top is gone. The triggers feel better. The microphone is built into the DualShock 5. It will be USB-C, has a better battery life, haptic feedback, no LED, no back buttons, and compatible with PS4.
Well, that would be my preferred. I would prefer that because I don't think it needs an LED screen.
No, I think that's kind of pointless. I feel like at that point I'm playing on a fucking Wii U.
Yeah, anything that's going to like kill the battery life like that is just completely and utterly silly in my opinion. Like, you just don't. I mean, I don't even think we need the touch bar. The little touchpad thing.
The touchpad doesn't bother me because like it's really good as like an extra button when it comes to like, oh, I want the map open, and you're like, oh, touchpad, boop. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I would just prefer a button, I guess, is my thing. I would prefer like put 4 buttons there, so you've got like the start, select, and then 2 other buttons. I would be happy with that. But yeah, it does work as a button. That's mostly what it's used for, I think.
I think so. Yeah, like it's good for like that, and then I know the most that I've used it for is after you open up the map, you just swipe around and it moves it. But I don't know what else it's used for.
I believe someone said that in The Witcher 3, I can't remember this, you can swipe it in different directions to like bring the map up or bring different inventory screens up. So I guess it's useful for that.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a game that I've played very recently where the actual touchpad part comes into play, like, at all. So, but I suppose the thing is, it's got to be there for backwards compatibility, hasn't it? I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
You got to have it for that. Yeah, that's.
You got to have it for that because then the DualShock 4 will be compatible with the PS5.
Yeah, I assume so. Yeah.
So
it'll. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to keep it and sort of keep that.
Yeah.
Keep that in line, I guess. But.
Holy.
But yeah, I'm.
Shit.
Was that thunder and lightning on your end?
Apparently, like, oh my god, I just had a heart attack. I did not expect that. I'm waiting for Ellie to come.
I thought that you'd actually hit your microphone. I was like,
No,
oh, he
that
just hit his
was
mic.
no, that was
Wow.
thunder. Like it shook my house.
Man, that's pretty crazy that I could hear that loud. Well, anyone who's listened to this, hopefully Iron survives.
Yep, here she comes.
This could be like the last recording, but
Yeah, here she comes.
yeah, I'm super looking forward to the PlayStation 5. I think obviously towards, like you said, once we've got a reveal and we've seen some more information, I think we'll have a lot more to talk about when we've got some actual facts to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see what it looks like. I'm not the biggest fan of what the Series X looks like. To me, it looks just like a big black box. So I kind of hoping there's a little bit more personality in the PlayStation 5. And I think there will be, because Sony seems to put a little bit more effort into the way the consoles look.
Yeah, I mean,
general.
The Xbox One and subsequent ones just look like a VCR to me, is really what they look like. This one just looks, it just reminds me, it's just a square Mac Pro is what it reminds me of. I mean, I understand why the design, they went with it, because that's also why Apple went with the Mac Pro of the old one. But I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, it's inoffensive. You can say that. Like, you wouldn't like. I tell you what it looks like. If you've ever seen like a receiver, like an amp that people have for like surround systems, it kind of looks like that, like the same sort of size and proportions. And they're usually just big black boxes. So I mean, I guess that's kind of it's inoffensive. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be like jarring on your entertainment unit. But
no.
Yeah, I think something with a little bit more personality doesn't hurt.
It also, thinking about it, actually reminds me of like having an Echo, like the Amazon Echo. Like it's kind of like just that little tower. Yeah.
Yeah, like a really big one. But yeah, I'm excited to see what it looks like. I'm excited to see what they like, the price point and stuff. That's all going to be really interesting. I mean, it's just going to be a really good year. Like, I mean, a really good year for games in general. A lot of exciting stuff in general happening. So not just with PlayStation, but
yeah, no, it's going to be big for the industry as a whole. I am a little curious how Nintendo might respond to new consoles. I mean, are they going to finally put out that like Nintendo Pro or whatever?
Maybe they will. I guess I think E3 this year, or around E3 time, could be a lot more interesting than it was last year. So
it's always more interesting when the new consoles launch.
Yeah, definitely. When there's actually some excitement and stuff.
Yeah.
Something's actually happening. So yeah, no, really looking forward to it. The last thing I wanted just to quickly talk about. So we actually talked about this before we actually recorded the podcast, but I wanted to talk about it quickly on here. Is obviously PS I Love You is back. PS I Love You XOXO is back. Just to annoy the shit out of me, apparently. Because I'd thought about doing this last year, and then they announced, because I never thought they would bring PS I Love You XOXO back. I thought it was dead, and Game Daily was forever. So I was curious to see, did you watch the first episode with Greg and Blessings?
I haven't, and I was actually, because PS I Love You was actually like one of the only things I ever dealt with kind of funny for a while. So I was going to watch it, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
It's good. I enjoyed it. You know, the chemistry is not the same as with Colin and Greg.
Well, it's not going to be.
Yeah, I think Colin and Greg is a one-off as well. That's like a pairing that just worked so well, and they happen to be friends as well. So I don't think it's ever going to be the same level as that. But it was still good. They talked for almost 2 hours. It was a long podcast. Yeah, long podcast. You know, Blessings seems like a really genuine guy. He doesn't seem that well versed on PlayStation exclusives. There's quite a few he hasn't played, and he's playing through them now. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, he better get his ass in gear.
Yeah, exactly, because he's going to get crucified if he doesn't. But I mean, it was good. It was good. I mean, do you watch or listen to Sacred Symbols, like Colin's podcast?
No, I don't. I haven't really listened much on Colin's.
So I enjoy that. I think Colin is the standout on that. Like when he's talking about PlayStation, that's what's really interesting. I don't really have anything against Chris Reagan at all. I think he's fine, but it just doesn't work for me as those two as a pair. I suppose the worst thing about this is you can't help but wish they were still doing something together, because that's where it was, like Colin and Greg, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Because that's where they were at their best, but it's never going to happen, so...
No, they've long since split that apart.
Yeah, but I'm glad that PS I Love You XOXO is back, because that's clearly what inspired... Well, Beyond is really what inspired us to even do any kind of like podcast or anything like that, so I'm glad it's back, and I'm glad that people seem to like it as well. Like, it's had a pretty positive reaction as well. So
yeah,
more PlayStation stuff is good as far as I'm concerned. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
I'm
and that's the thing that always, I've enjoyed is just PlayStation. I mean, I don't mind talking about gaming in general, like, an Xbox and things like that, but PlayStation is what I have followed for the longest time, and it's like that's my gaming history, like that's my gaming core. I mean, my first tattoo that I plan on getting is going to be, the PlayStation symbols, like, the four symbols in that in like some cool artsy way because of the impact it had on me, growing up.
yeah
Like PlayStation was like everything growing up. Like it got me through a lot. So that's why I was
yeah
doing it.
no yeah no I get that. Same for me. I've got such good memories. Obviously, I've got like really good memories with Sega, obviously, because I grew up with the Mega Drive and stuff like that. But that's more like towards Sonic. Like I'm just a big Sonic fan. Like I'm not that big of a Sega fan in the grand scheme of things. I'm much more of I would say I'm definitely like a PlayStation fanboy. I've always thought I am. I've always like preferred them. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm glad to be doing this. I've really enjoyed like sitting down and talking again, and especially with you. Always in like me and you always have the best time.
Oh yeah.
Talking about stuff. It's the easiest. I've always thought with me and you, it's just easy. We talk about stuff all the time, so
Yeah.
it's no hassle to talk about stuff and record it. Really.
No, it's the same thing. I mean, there's times we'll just sit there in a voice chat and just end up talking about these games and stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
might as well just record it.
Yeah, may as well just record it. So, but yeah, really, really enjoyed doing this. Like I said at the start, I'm not sure the frequency of this. I'm thinking maybe once a month, but maybe if there's more to talk about and we feel like it, then maybe like once a fortnight. But we'll say once a month for now. This is going to be on a new podcast feed, so if you do want to subscribe on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google, or whatever, then obviously we do like really appreciate it. I'm going to put out a YouTube version as well, so if you want to subscribe on YouTube, most people who listen to this are going to be in our Discord server. Hopefully more people do, but most of the people already probably are subscribed to us. But we do appreciate it if you subscribe. Thanks for listening. Until next time.